Here we got the 1960 Les Paul Standard Reissue in Iced Tea Burst VOS finish, and this has to be the by far most unexpectedly lovely guitar I've ever played. So what do I mean by unexpected? I basically had it built up in my head why I wouldn't love this guitar, because I think spending this much money for any instrument is just kind of ridiculous. So first of all, while this gorgeous flame maple top might be lovely and mesmerizing to look at, you know, let's be real, it doesn't really make that much of a difference in the overall sound of the guitar. I figured you're paying for a lot of extras with this. You know, again, absolutely gorgeous one-piece solid mahogany back, one-piece mahogany neck, all put together with hide glue, and then it's a freaking switch plate medallion. Who's gonna know this is there besides you? And then nickel-aged hardware. You know, I've always been more so, I kind of like gold hardware, fancy chrome hardware, you know, shiny, pristine looking stuff. I don't want artificially aged, old looking hardware. And then there's, of course, you're paying for the extra novelty, period correct materials and construction method. And you know, it's like, I never really understood all that. And then everyone's heard the term PAF humbuckers. So these are the PAF style Alnico III Custombuckers, unpotted. And so for those of you that don't know, unpotted pickups means that there's no wax potting around these. So they're more prone to interference from other things going on in your audio setup, especially running high gain stuff. Hypothetically, why do I give a shit about any of this stuff? You're paying a hell of a lot of money for a whole lot of extras that, you know, are really not going to make that much of a difference. Or so I thought. And unfortunately for me, as soon as I picked this up and plugged it in and played it for about 30 seconds, it all came together and I finally understood. And all those doubts I had in my mind and all those things I built up for why I don't want to love this guitar and I don't want to keep it just kind of evaporated. And now I'm not letting this one go. I never thought something like this would be my taste. Why would I pay extra for something to make it look older than it is? You know, it didn't really click for me until I put one in my hands and held it in person, and you know, now I understand it more. You know, this looks absolutely gorgeous to me, and it's completely grown on me. Again, that might just still not be your taste, and it is still subjective, but I did have a pretty big change of heart. And then the construction methods, you know, so hide glue is kind of unique in the way it works, so it is very different from the way white glue or other wood glues work. It's melted down animal parts, and it's actually one of the oldest adhesives ever used by man. It basically soaks into the wood and then kind of pulls towards itself. It looks exactly the way it sounds. It's some pretty disgusting brown goopy stuff. And it's very difficult to work with, but it's very popular furniture and musical instruments. It's basically the only things that you would use it for anymore nowadays. Unfortunately for you vegans, these are not vegan friendly. Construction-wise, are you gonna really notice that? Maybe not. Does it make a difference? Maybe. It is something really cool that they went through the extra effort to these things delivered to you in the way that they're traditionally built. The thing that probably does make a difference though, that I kind of feel, I don't know if it's a placebo effect or not, but the long neck tenon. Mechanically, yeah, it makes sense. You have more support here, more structural rigidity, so the neck has less of a tendency to move. Combine the hide glue with this long neck tenon, and this thing is solid as a rock. And the neck profile, my Les Paul Classic, which is also the Slim 60s profile, they do have a very similar feeling neck, except this one just feels a little more solid and it's nicer to play and it feels better on the hands. Could just be minor setup differences or fret wire sizes, but another thing to note. And the first time I plugged it in, I couldn't stop playing it for 2 hours straight. My fingers were killing me and I just still wanted to keep going. You know, that speaks volumes. You know, it's extremely rare to get that feeling. And then there's the pickups, these mythical Alnico III Custombuckers here. So for those of you that aren't too hip to all the magnet choices and pickups and that, there's basically a range of outputs that you get, starting with Alnico III being typically the lowest output, and then Alnico II for some reason is higher than that, and then Alnico 5s are higher than that, and there's a whole bunch of, and then there's numbers that are skipped, I don't know why. And apparently now they have all these ultra modern ones that go all the way up to Alnico 7 and Alnico 8. And, you know, they have ceramic pickups too, which are extremely hot, which is basically what EMGs use. And so, you know, I did always used to be in the mindset like, oh, why would I ever want low output pickups? It doesn't make sense to me. And also, on top of that, I would always think that, yeah, I just need the pickups to be good enough. A pretty good pedal collection at my disposal. I have a great amp. You know, I can make all the adjustments I need. I don't need the pickups to be amazing. And my God, I was so freaking wrong. I'm very familiar with my rig and the way it sounds. I have single coil Stratocaster. I have 2 different guitars with EMGs. I have a super hot Iomi SG over here from the last video. And then I have my Les Paul Classic with the 61R, 61T, Zebras, you know, all types of pickups. And I've played tons of other guitars. And I don't know what it is, man. These just hit different. Have to experience it. It's just, the note clarity is fantastic no matter how much gain you throw at it. And that's another thing too, I was worried about the pickup squealing. I play with a lot of gain through these and they never squealed on me. And one of my pet peeves when you're playing with a lot of distortion is that really shrill, artificial sounding high end with a lot of high gain setups, and it fatigues your ears so much and you get tired of it really quickly. These pickups roll that back perfectly, so it doesn't kill your presence. You still have that fantastic open sound, and it's extremely dynamic and expressive, but even when you're playing with a lot of distortion, you can hear every single note you're playing. It is by far the best pickup experience I've ever had. And, you know, I'm really sad to say that because, you know, they sound good with everything. They sound great clean, they sound great overdriven, they sound great with a ton of gain. Anything you want to throw at it, they can handle it and sound phenomenal. And, you know, it kind of makes me sad to say that they kind of blow a lot of the other guitars I have out of the water. And, you know, unfortunately, you can't even get these pickups alone. You gotta get them with a custom shop Gibson. I always thought that, you know, once you start paying $2,000 or more for instruments, it kind of get diminishing returns, because how much better could the guitar really sound? I still feel there's a bit of truth to that, but this really does sound a shitload better than my Les Paul Classic and my Les Paul Studio that I have, much to my chagrin. And then even my Les Paul Classic, which is a fantastic guitar, and I thought it'd be the most expensive last guitar I needed. Now I'm feeling really, really wrong about that. And you know, there's a reason I don't own the regular Gibson USA Les Paul Standard. I've played a bunch of them and I don't think that they're that much worth the money over here's a Les Paul Classic or Les Paul Studio. A little better, but I'm not super convinced that I need this. I have a family friend that owns a music store, and after hours we go in and get to play all the crazy expensive guitars, the boutiques, the Sirs, the PRSs, all of these crazy $10,000 plus guitars. And they're phenomenal mechanically, they're fantastic, but you know, I never found myself falling in love with them. They just kind of felt, for lack of a better word, kind of soulless, to be honest. That kind of just reaffirmed my initial thought where, yeah, after $2,000, they don't really get much better. You're just paying for extras. That's another reason why I really didn't expect to fall for this guitar. The experience of this one is entirely different to any of those other ones. It has character and a shitload of it. And you can feel that, and it kind of takes me back to being a kid, the first time I tried a really nice guitar, the first time I plugged into EMGs, and I'm like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. This is the first guitar in years that's captured that feeling for me of, wow, this is something special. So I mean, in terms of bang for buck value, look elsewhere. You don't need to spend $6,000, $7,000 to have great tone. Now, I'm still rocking on my $50 Squire strap back there. Is this thing over 100 times better than my Strat, or 3 times as good as my Les Paul Classic? No, that would just be insane. You are tapping into something that you can't get with a lot of those. So if you want a truly, truly unique, top-of-the-line playing experience, yeah, this is it. I guess it just goes to show that, yeah, that's why these reissues are so popular. Sometimes old ways are the best. Feeling that now.